Minecraft, one of the most popular video games of all time. An almost infinite world where you can get lost and let your imagination run wild. But what if I told you Minecraft can become something much darker and disturbing? This blocky universe has been the perfect playground for countless creative minds, but not always with the goal of building something amazing. Some have used it to bring unsettling horror stories to life. From bizarre experiments and players losing total control of their world, to full-blown horror mini-movies that could send shivers down your spine. Now you're probably wondering why I made this video. As I mentioned in a community post, I've been pretty busy this week working on my analysis of the non-canon episodes of the Walton Files and making progress on a secret project that I'll be revealing very soon, something I'm sure many of you here are gonna love it. Still, I didn't want to leave you without content all week, so I decided to put together this video, compiling all the Minecraft ARGs I've covered on the channel so far. I know a lot of you love this kind of format, so I really hope you enjoy it. With that said, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who responded to the pinned comment in the last video and for the incredible support you always give me. Remember, if you'd like to be featured in the next video, make sure to reply to the pinned comment where you'll find this question. Which other Minecraft ARG would you like me to cover on the channel? This time, don't go for the super popular ones. I've already got those on my radar and even started working on some of them. So hit me with something unexpected. Don't forget to drop your precious like and subscribe to help the channel grow and reach more people. Every like is one more coin to escape poverty. And if you're not sure what to comment, just type meow in the comment section and I'll leave you a heart in return. Comments are incredibly important and help the video a lot, so don't forget to leave yours. Welcome to Something Is Wrong with These 3 Minecraft ARGs. The first video begins with the player greeting the audience. If we translate what he is saying, it's clear that this is someone testing seeds in Minecraft version 1.15.2. He mentioned finding a lot of interesting things. From there, the player sets off to find a tree to begin gathering resources. Out of nowhere, if you watch the video in full screen, a message appears on the side of the screen. Speedrun mistakes, accompanied by a counter that increases as the video progresses. While exploring, the player spots smoke from a campfire in the distance, which signals the presence of a village. He comments that he will head there to find the blacksmith's house, as it usually contains useful items. However, this village is far from ordinary. Here, we see some very strange villagers. They are taller than usual, appear 2D, and have expressions of suffering. The player continues exploring and comes across a small villager who, unlike the others, seems normal. As if that weren't odd enough, they also find a completely deformed cat. What's most striking is that the player acts as though everything is normal. When he attempts to enter the blacksmith's house, one of these peculiar villagers blocks the way. The player mentions that he can't get inside, and the video ends. By carefully analyzing the title and description, we can gather the following. Top 1 unsuccessful Minecraft speedrun. This speedrun was the most disastrous in my Minecraft career. I decided to post its record so that others would not repeat my mistakes. At first glance, it seems the player was attempting a speedrun. That's likely why he headed straight for the village, as blacksmith houses typically have valuable loot like iron or obsidian. However, he stumbled upon this bizarre village filled with strange and unsettling villagers, which ultimately derailed his plans. The big question remains: what happened in that place to mutate the villagers into such grotesque forms? In the second video, we see a blue screen as a world is generated in Minecraft version 1.15.2. Right at the start, a text appears on screen that reads, "Assimilation level, minimum." The player greets the audience and explains that he is in Sector 69 to investigate, as he was informed that the assimilation levels have dropped. In the background, we hear villagers and distorted game sounds. At this point, it becomes clear that numerous villages are being listed and assigned. The player mentions that night fell while he was working. On screen, a new text appears. Assimilation level DEF+. The player checks if the villagers are asleep and enters a house where we see the strange villagers, who, according to the player, appear to be asleep. The recording cuts and the text changes again. Assimilation level DEF++. The player says he will connect these entities to a system to generate energy for an experiment. He also mentioned hiding all the evidence so the experiment can continue. All of this is so unsettling. The on-screen text changes once more. Assimilation level EXT. The player approaches the village well and enters a hidden room where villagers are confined. He explains that it was challenging to lure the villagers to this location, where we see two of them connected to what looks like a screen. The player then opens a chest, revealing more villagers inside, and comments on using redstone to power the mechanism. The video cuts again, and when it resumes, an ultrasound image appears on the screen, accompanied by the text at the bottom. Get outside. The player mentions that the connected villagers are trying to communicate. Suddenly, something truly disturbing appears. A sonogram image of a baby with 3 eyes, accompanied by the text. He's trying to get out. The player ends the video by stating that the villagers' fetuses have managed to communicate. All of this is incredibly strange. If we translate the title and the description, it reads, "Where do villagers disappear to in Minecraft? How can you make villager babies talk in Minecraft?" I received a message saying that the village in Minecraft was experiencing a low level of assimilation. I came to check it out, but I never expected to see this. Based on what we've seen so far, it seems these villagers are assimilated villagers being used in an experiment to make their fetuses talk. Artomek appears to be directly involved in this experiment, yet the ultimate purpose behind all of this remains a profound mystery. In the next video, we see 2 villagers and a house before the following message appears on screen. I have been here for 4 days already. Do you think you can rid of us? Dad promised to pick us up. Where are you? The scene then cuts to a recording of someone walking through what seems to be a basement. Suddenly, they come across something on the floor that we can't see because it's censored. A message follows. It's been edited, but I have to show everyone what he did. Everyone needs to know why he made them stay indoors. Later, we witness a conversation between 2 villagers, a father and his son, Victor, referred to as the victim. Dad. What? I'm trapped in the basement. What? Help me. There is someone in the room. There is someone in the room. There is someone in the room. Dad.
Yes.
I'm trapped in the basement. Help me. Dad. Victor was assimilated. There is one victim left, hid in the cellar room. He waited a minute and tried to escape. Was found by Victor. What exactly did we just watch? This video delves deeper into the concept of the assimilated and reveals a grim story where a father and his son, Victor, both end up assimilated. Someone mentions there's one victim left, and another responds that they hid in the cellar room. They waited for a minute before attempting to escape, only to be found by Victor. What follows is a recording of this encounter. The person recording hides while we hear the footsteps of that thing approaching. The atmosphere grows darker and more oppressive until the screen fades completely to black, marking the end of the video. This video is the shortest of them all. It shows a player exploring a pitch-dark cave, cautiously moving forward. However, they suddenly stop upon encountering one of the assimilated villagers. The player seems startled, steps back, and the video abruptly ends. The description reads, "My bad, that's not a villager." As mentioned, this is a very short video. Interestingly, this Minecraft session appears to be unrelated to everything we've seen so far, suggesting that whatever is happening here may have spread to other worlds. In the next video, we see the world selection screen. It shows a few worlds. One with a strange title, likely the result of mashing random keys, something many of us have done. A world titled New World, another named Real Victor is Here, and a final one called Test 37. The player selects the first world, which loads into a skyblock map. Here, we see an assimilated villager standing alongside two regular villagers. A sign next to the assimilated villager, when translated from German, reads Father, while the sign near the normal villagers reads Farm. Next, the player enters a house with no floor and falls into the void below. The camera then pans back to the villagers, including a small one that also walks into the house and falls to its death. The description states, "Villagers are living in a pretty utopian world, but..." Each video becomes stranger than the last. Let's dive a bit deeper to see if we can shed some light on this bizarre story. Finally, we return to Artomek, picking up exactly where his last appearance left off. As we saw previously, he comments on how astonishing it is that the fetuses of the assimilated villagers can communicate. The footage abruptly cuts, and once again the text assimilation level DEF++ appears. The player reaches a room, and we see in the chat that a generic entity has disconnected. He enters the room, seemingly searching for something. Suddenly, a scream is heard, and a dark-skinned entity appears. The player, terrified, attempts to hide. He peeks out, and the entity seems to have disappeared. But moments later, it re-emerges, crawling on the floor with a pulsating piece of flesh embedded in its torso. The player flees and manages to trap the entity. We then see him escaping from the area through the village well. However, if we translate the title, we discover that this village is different from the previous one. System 69 to 42. Village connection. How to abandon an inferior child in Minecraft. Consequences. After reaching the village in Sector 42, the player remarks that he will verify the number of inhabitants. Upon arriving, he observes that there appears to be no one. We hear him walking, his breathing slightly agitated, likely still scared. Suddenly, an assimilated villager appears, and a text on the screen indicates that the assimilation level is 0. The player comments that the assimilated villagers have realized he is responsible for what happened to them. Deciding to return to Sector 69, he descends into the well again, passing the room where the dark entity was trapped. However, the doors open, and the player assumes the entity has escaped. Despite this, he continues to the experiment rooms to retrieve a sample and escape. As he enters the experiment room, an alarm goes off. Several assimilated villagers appear, and the player seems visibly terrified. On the screen, an assimilated villager says, "The fruit is here. Why?" The player watches in horror as the captive villagers begin to change, turning reddish as if preparing to attack. Suddenly, a minecart appears, and after several cuts, we see the following. Victor, now fully assimilated, is trying to capture the player. Despite this, the player manages to board the minecart and seemingly escape. The video ends and the description reads, "I survived after the exit from Village 69 was blocked by real metal barriers. I discovered that the tunnels beneath the village lead to neighboring villages, but it takes a lot of effort to move further. So, I decided to return. It's not my fault that Victor suffered from the entity in his house, which appeared during a version transition. In fact, the village shouldn't even exist because the version is too old. But that didn't stop Victor from suffering. Victor blames me, so I don't want to see him. This video is deeply unsettling and reveals several key points. First, we now know that the villages are interconnected through underground tunnels where experiments are conducted. A new type of assimilation is introduced in the form of the dark-skinned entity, which suddenly appeared during a version transition. This entity was responsible for Victor's assimilation. It becomes clear that the assimilated villagers are aware the player is to blame for their plight, and they are now seeking to capture and kill him. Finally, Victor appears, harboring a desire for revenge against the player, as he seemingly suffered the most. From the title, we can infer that Victor may have had a disability, which led to his abandonment. Finally, we reach the last video. Here we see the same floating island from earlier. However, an eerie sound plays in the background. Deep, agonized wails, as if from someone in excruciating pain. The camera pans to reveal two villagers who are not yet fully assimilated, though their textures look odd. Perhaps they are mid-assimilation. These two are none other than Victor and Artomek. And then this happens. Assimilation completed. Victor will never be abandoned. A new father will not be able to betray. You were born here and you are glad. The video ends here, and when we look at the description, it reads, "Hello world, I'm a default Minecraft villager, and I live with my kid, Victor." Taking all of this into account, it becomes evident that Artomek failed to escape from Victor and was ultimately assimilated. What we witness in this video is his painful and agonizing transformation, a process that strips away his humanity and reshapes him into a new father for Victor. A crucial detail that solidifies this interpretation is the description of this final video. Previously, the descriptions contained relevant information added by Artomek himself. Now, however, the description reflects the perspective of a newly assimilated villager. This harrowing conclusion demonstrates the full extent of Victor's vengeance and the horrifying implications of the assimilation process. Artomek is no longer himself. He is now just another victim of this twisted, tragic cycle. Artomek paid for everything he did. This series seems to have come to an end, but there are still many unanswered questions. What is the true purpose behind this experiment? Why is there such an interest in the communication between the assimilated fetuses? And what is the real origin of that strange black entity? The floor is yours. Share your theories in the comments. In the first video, everything seems normal. A player named Clayton M634 uploads a video showcasing his base. During the tour, we see various areas such as a mini roller coaster, an animal pen, a storage room, and his bedroom. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's nothing unusual in this video. However, in the next one, something happens that truly raises questions. Clayton claims to have found a massive cave and heads toward it. Its structure resembles modern Minecraft terrain generation. However, in the top left corner of the screen, it shows that he is playing on beta 1.6, a version where this kind of terrain generation is impossible. After this, a new video is uploaded from the perspective of another player named Samuel Samson 12. The description mentions that Samuel is Clayton's friend, and that they both play on the same server. though not always at the same time. In his video, Samuel explores the world in search of the perfect spot to build his base. Eventually, he comes across a massive cave similar to the one near Clayton's house, and, without much thought, decides to settle there. In the next video, Samuel shows us his progress. However, as he descends into the cave, he encounters something he never expected to find.
I just finished building my house, and I'm going to show it to you. Here we go.
Samuel stumbles upon something unsettling. A strange black and gray entity with a large, eerie white grin lurks in the distance. When he tries to get closer, the screen suddenly distorts, and loud, high-pitched noises begin playing in the background. Terrified, Samuel runs back to Clayton's base as fast as he can to tell him what just happened. When he arrives, both of them head up to the second floor and begin discussing what Samuel saw. Sit down. What did you see at your base?
I don't know, it was weird.
How weird?
Very odd. It was this baby-looking entity, I guess that's the word. It had some fluid all over it. Looked like blood, but I couldn't tell from that far away.
I don't believe you.
It was there, no doubt.
I still don't believe you.
I swear to God, there was something.
Do you want me to go check?
If you want, but I'm not going anywhere near there.
Samuel struggles to explain exactly what he saw, and Clayton doesn't believe him, so he decides to go to Samuel's base and see for himself. Upon arrival, we see Samuel's base, but there's nothing inside. Clayton decides to explore a bit further. However, something stops him. Overcome with terror and confusion, Clayton is confronted by a strange entity with a single, enormous eye blocking his path, but this isn't the same entity that Samuel saw. Panicking, Clayton flees, even trying to hide in the darkness of the cave. However, that thing finds him again. Running out of options, he takes refuge inside Samuel's base, hoping to wait it out. After some time, Clayton, seeing that the situation seems safe, leaves the house and returns to the surface. If we check the video's description, we find a strange code. When deciphered, it appears to be a fragment of a YouTube link. Following it leads to a video where, surprisingly, nothing unusual happens. We simply see Samuel waiting for Clayton to return. After some time, Clayton finally makes it back to his base. However, something strange happens. The small roller coaster he showcased in his first video has disappeared. While it could have been intentionally removed, it seems suspicious given the type of story we're witnessing. Another oddity is that Samuel, who was supposed to be waiting for him, is nowhere to be found. Then again, maybe he got bored of waiting and left the server. In the next video, we see Clayton playing a new version of Minecraft that is clearly unofficial. Minecraft Beta 1.6 Smile. During his session, he grabs some food from his storage. However, in the blink of an eye, we see him accidentally open another chest, revealing coal blocks and emeralds, materials that did not exist in Beta 1.6. But the strangest thing is a peculiar, half-broken green diamond. Undoubtedly, this is due to the unusual version of the game Clayton is playing, an altered version of Beta 1.6. After this, he decides to go mining, but upon leaving his base, he notices that where the small roller coaster once stood, there is now a small hole, as if a creeper had exploded there. Next, we see the perspective of Samuel. His goal is to cook the raw meat he has stored in the base. While doing so, he notices something unsettling. The hole seen in the previous video seems to have grown slightly larger. Shortly after, and to his misfortune, Samuel encounters another entity. This one is different from the ones we've seen before, though it shares one distinct feature with the first entity, its smile. Perhaps these smiles are connected to the name of this version of the game. However, this theory is somewhat contradictory, given that the first entity appeared before they switched to the smile version. Later, Clayton and Samuel have a conversation in which they confirm that neither of them has done anything to enlarge the hole. They also discuss the mysterious creature Samuel saw. Because of this, Clayton decides to contact the technical support team for this version of Minecraft. He then opens the official website, where we can read the following. Minecraft Smile official website. Minecraft Smile is a branch of Minecraft Beta 1.6. We, Team Smile, got direct access to the source code from Notch. We are happy to take feedback and suggestions to improve the game. If you encounter any bugs, please report them. On the website, there are 3 available links. One for logging in, one for reporting bugs, and another for accessing the changelog. The page appears to be exclusive to developers, as there is no option to register. The changelog lists all versions of Minecraft Smile. If we navigate to the current version that Clayton and Samuel are playing, we see that certain secret elements were added, such as a new type of ore and high-speed bricks, whose functionality can be observed in one of the videos. What follows is a 4-minute-long video in which absolutely nothing happens. It simply shows the hole on a rainy night while a strange song plays in the background. The next video is recorded from the perspective of a new character named QA, which stands for Quality Assurance. QA introduces himself as part of the support team for this version. In the server, alongside Samuel, QA mentions that he has come to fix a reported bug. Samuel leads him to the hole, which has grown significantly larger by this point. QA looks confused and remarks that it seems like something has been digging the hole. He has no idea how to fix it, but says he will discuss it with his team. At this point, 2 unsettling questions arise. First, why didn't Samuel mention anything about the entities he encountered? And second, why does the support team of a game connect directly to the player's world to inspect the error firsthand? Something definitely doesn't add up. Next, we see Clayton and Samuel playing in a new version. Through their conversation, we learn that the whole issue has been resolved, which is also confirmed on the website. Then, the 2 friends discuss the version of the game. It is revealed that the version they are playing is not yet available to the general public. Apparently, they are some sort of testers. From this point on, they simply start messing around with these strange green blocks. After a while, Clayton goes upstairs, but strangely, the torches are gone. He asks Samuel about it, but Samuel is still testing the high-speed blocks. The obvious question arises, who or what removed the torches? And not only that, later we learn that the ladders have also disappeared. All this is extremely bizarre. In this latest video, Clayton and Samuel joke about leaking the beta, saying they'd probably get killed for it. I highlight this because it might be important later on. In the next video, we can see that the wooden blocks and planks have changed to a grayish tone, and the hole has grown again. Shortly after, QA joins the server and explains that he has found a way to fix the issue, but before doing so, QA asks why Clayton's house has gray planks. Clayton responds that they simply changed when he updated the game. QA is unable to fix that problem at the moment, but he can address the hole. To do this, they place a special block directly inside it, ensuring that this will stop it from expanding. During their conversation, a person named Smile is mentioned, who is apparently the main developer of these versions. At the end of the video, Clayton asks how much longer these versions will remain private. QA responds that they don't know since Smile has never provided that information. I still wonder why a support team member joins the server and fixes bugs by placing a block instead of doing it through the game's code. This is all highly suspicious.
Tell me, did the fix work?
It appears so.
Are you sure?
I joined after they got offline, and the hole was patched up.
Good. Do you want to know the cause of the bug?
Well, of course.
It's because of a bug in Smile 1's code. Weird things spawning because he was trying to add new zombie types or something. At least that's what I was told.
But how do those weird zombie things cause the hole?
They dig the hole.
Why?
Let's analyze what we just saw. In this new video, QA has a conversation with Smile2, who appears to be one of the main developers. During their discussion, it is revealed that the holes appearing in players' worlds are caused by bugs in the code written by Smile1. Additionally, Smile2 mentions that strange things appear because Smile1 attempted to add new types of zombies or something along those lines. This means that these new zombies are responsible for the appearance of the holes. And by zombies, they are referring to the mysterious entities that Clayton and Samuel previously encountered. In the next video, we see that the hole has disappeared. Clayton must have felt some relief at that moment, though it wouldn't last long. Clayton hears a terrifying sound behind him, and as he turns around, he sees a one-eyed creature charging toward him. This is the same entity he had previously seen when inspecting Samuel's base. Fortunately, he manages to take cover in time. After a while, he decides to step outside to check if everything is in order. However, suddenly there is an explosion near the hole. Clayton quickly rushes down and, at the bottom, he sees that the special block that had been placed to stop the hole's expansion is now on the ground. When he picks it up, he realizes that he can no longer place it back. It's clear that this is the work of the entities. We're back to square one. The bug has returned. Here, we have a conversation between Smile 2 and Smile 4, where they discuss the bugs reported by testers, such as the texture change in the planks of Clayton's house, along with other unresolved issues. We also learned that Clayton and Samuel are not the only testers. Finally, two texts appear, which, when combined, read, "Problems don't solve themselves, but ours do." This phrase is quite intriguing, but it's still too early to theorize about its meaning. You'll have to wait a little longer. In another video, Clayton and Samuel discuss the whole issue again. Even after the support team's intervention, the situation has not improved. Later, the two friends step outside and see just how massive the hole has become. They attempt to cover it up, but soon, something unexpected happens. It seems there is no hope. It is now evident that this is no longer just a simple bug. After all, even the developers themselves don't understand what's happening in their own game. Over time, this strange anomaly reaches Clayton and Samuel's house and begins consuming it. Then we see the perspective of Samuel, who, along with Clayton, starts rebuilding their base. But in the process, they come across something even stranger, a hidden place beneath the house. Inside, they found a massive room made of smile blocks, resembling some kind of meeting room. At this point, it's not far-fetched to think that the development team is behind all of this. Remember, only the developers have access to this special block. And do you remember who created it? Exactly, the mastermind behind it all is most likely Smile 1. After everything that happened, they managed to rebuild the base, and it even looks better than before. We also see that the game has been updated to a new version. Sometime later, Smile 2 joins the server and talks to Clayton about the situation. Smile 2 claims he has come to fix all the previous errors, and they even discuss the mysterious hidden place that appeared after the destruction of their old home. During the conversation, Clayton's camera starts shaking slightly as he looks at Smile 2. I think it's more than obvious now. In the end, Smile 2 asks him to leave the server so he can fix the supposed problem. Clayton decides to log out of his server and joins another one, where we meet Jude, another tester who plays alone in his world. Seeing this, Clayton invites him to play on his server so he doesn't have to play alone. Later, Jude gives Clayton a tour of his base, and Clayton informs him that he'll have to wait a bit longer before returning to his server since Smile is still fixing a bug. In the next video, Clayton finally returns to his server along with Jude. However, they discover that the small hole from before has become massive. It's clear that there's nothing left to do there, so the friends have no choice but to move to a safer location. Some time has passed since the last video, as we can see that the game has received a couple of updates. Here we are introduced to the new base of Clayton, Samuel, and Jude. At some point, Clayton asks about a long tunnel that appeared in the storage area. Jude replies that he built it while they were offline, but he doesn't really know why he did it. After this statement, an awkward silence falls between the three players. This definitely raises some suspicions about Jude. Could he be involved in all of this? Later, Clayton mentions that he misses their second base and suggests visiting it someday. However, the torches start disappearing again, and not just the torches, all the lighting is gone. At one point, we see Jude enter the server, yet he never actually appears anywhere. Because of this, Clayton and Samuel begin to grow suspicious of him. At the end of the video, Samuel spots something in the distance and heads toward the forest, only to be killed by something. He rushes back to retrieve his items, but his inventory seems to have been replaced with different objects. Too many errors and strange occurrences have happened at this point, and they realize that reporting them to the Smile team is no longer a good idea. Things only seem to get worse when they do. In the end, they decide to visit their old base to see what state it's in. The place is completely barren. No trees, no grass. Everything is desolate. The base has disappeared entirely, and in its place lies a massive hole, so deep that its bottom is not even visible. Clayton and Samuel build a small shelter to take refuge in, and afterward, Samuel descends to the bottom of the hole. There, he finds a chest containing a smile block. When he hovers his mouse over the item, disturbing background noises can be heard. He stores it in his inventory and returns to Clayton. Next, there are two related videos recorded from different perspectives. In the first, we follow Samuel again. The temporary shelter they had built is being replaced by random blocks, some even vanishing altogether. It seems the creator is converting blocks into others before making them disappear. This could mean that the blocks Samuel found at the bottom of the hole are the last remnants of their former base. At one point, Samuel descends once more, and when he looks up, he can make out the silhouette of that strange, one-eyed entity. The second video, however, is recorded from the perspective of this very entity. Curiously, this one is titled Surveillance. Once there, Samuel places the smile block, and everything changes. In the following video, we remain in Samuel's perspective. Everything around him appears to have been restored, and the smile block is now secured under a gray plank structure. Shortly after, Clayton joins the server, visibly angry about what happened.
What the fuck? What happened? I don't know. Did you do this? Okay, yes, I did this, but it was an accident, and I'm sorry.
What the hell did you do? Did this happen to the entire world?
I don't know, listen, I'm sorry.
You betrayed me. We spent so much time working on that world, and now it's fucking gone. After this, Samuel is never seen again. Clayton then attempts to break the smile block. At that moment, Smile 4 joins the server and asks what happened to their world. As they talk, a figure with a glowing white grin can be seen lurking in the darkness. The entity watches Clayton and, within seconds, attacks him. This is the very same being that Samuel saw at the start of the story. Clayton manages to shake it off and then explains to Smile 4 what happened. Smile 4 is shocked by this turn of events, as they believe Smile 1 had taken care of these things long ago. Smile 4 tells Clayton that everything happened because Samuel placed the block at the exact coordinates needed to activate an unfinished function. Originally, this spot was supposed to open a portal to a new dimension, but since the code was incomplete, the entire world was reset. At some point during their conversation, Clayton asks about Samuel's whereabouts, but Smile 4 says they don't know, though they'll try to find out what happened to him. Finally, we arrive at the final video. Here we see a lonely Clayton who has built a small house around the smile block, and that is all we know. It's been over a year since the last video was published, which suggests this might be the end of the story, though the conclusion feels somewhat unresolved. Ultimately, Clayton loses everything: his friends, his bases, and, in general, his entire world is completely destroyed. What's the explanation behind these events? I'm convinced that Smile 1 is the cause of everything. Throughout the story, we never see him directly, but QA, Smile 2, and Smile 4 constantly mention him, claiming that he was trying to fix errors. However, the game's glitches and anomalies don't seem to have happened by accident. Plus, it appears there are more people involved beyond Smile 1, as suggested by the strange meeting room hidden beneath Clayton and Samuel's house. This hints at the involvement of multiple individuals or entities, possibly pointing to a larger conspiracy. On the other hand, if we analyze the behavior of some staff members, like QA or Smile 4, it becomes clear that even they don't fully understand what's happening. However, Smile 2, who seems to be second in command, raises some suspicions. I believe his involvement becomes evident in that one scene where the camera slightly shakes. Then there's the smile block, an object created by Smile 1 himself, which appears to control Samuel's mind at the end. When he hovers his mouse over the block, a strange sound starts playing. What if the block is actually communicating with him? And finally, we have the mysterious phrase, "Problems don't solve themselves, but ours do." This raises an even bigger question. What's the real reason behind Smile 1 and his team's actions? For now, here's my theory. The game world seems designed to self-destruct, populated by entities that chase and torment the players. In this way, Smile 1's team doesn't have to intervene directly. Their problems solve themselves. And what's the problem? The players. Players are an obstacle, but the world and its entities take care of them without the team having to lift a finger. However, this leads to even more questions. Why are the players a problem in the first place? Does it have something to do with Clayton and Samuel's intention to leak the beta in the future? I don't think so. That wouldn't be a strong enough motive, especially since this situation doesn't only affect Clayton and Samuel. Other testers are involved too. Also, what real solution do the game world and its entities provide beyond just harassing players in-game? And there are still more unanswered mysteries. What happened to Jude? And what role does he play in all of this? His behavior was extremely strange. And what really happened to Samuel? Why is Smile 4 able to investigate his case? Couldn't he have just logged out of the server and been fine? Alright, I think it's time to stop. This whole thing feels like a puzzle with missing pieces, and it's likely we'll never be able to complete it. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments. Surely, almost everyone has heard about Herobrine at some point. Without a doubt, one of the most famous creepypastas in the world of video games. The story began on forums over a decade ago, when players claimed to see a figure resembling Steve but with completely white eyes. It was said that this entity built impossible structures, dug tunnels in strange patterns, and watched from a distance, disappearing if you tried to get closer. But what many don't know is that before Herobrine, there were already rumors of an even more mysterious figure, White Eyes. On July 30th, 2010, a YouTube user named Kerchak uploaded a video titled Minecraft Music 13 OGG. The video simply showcased the eerie atmosphere of Minecraft's Disc 13, but if you paid close attention to the lower left corner of the cave, you could spot a pair of white eyes staring directly at you. The following day, on the Minecraft forum, a user named Endorphin started a thread claiming to be terrified after seeing a pair of white pixels, apparently the same ones from the YouTube video. This led to speculation that Endorphin and Kerchak might actually be the same person. In the thread, a user named Blaster suggested the eyes were nothing more than a rendering glitch, but Endorphin disagreed, insisting it was White Eyes, a female entity. Later in the discussion, another user named Flaky created fan art of White Eyes, describing her as a skeletal, spider-like creature. However, these illustrations are now considered lost media. Around 2 weeks after the appearance of White Eyes, the now iconic Herobrine creepypasta emerged. Clearly inspired by this earlier legend, Herobrine's popularity exploded to such an extent that White Eyes was soon forgotten. However, in recent years, this dark tale has resurfaced, slowly gaining recognition once again. But why am I telling you all this? Him is a stunningly crafted Minecraft horror short film based on these two legends. Here, we'll witness a deeply unsettling story in which a villager settlement meets a terrifying fate. As soon as the story begins, we're presented with the following text. Generations before the rise of the demigod, when the land had yet known of Almighty Steve, a cold taiga observed the presence of a bodiless deity, an unearthly force, walking between the shadows of a quiet village and hunting villager blood. This passage suggests that Steve is seen as a divine figure within this universe, which isn't surprising considering that Steve, the player, is the only being in Minecraft who cannot die permanently and the only one capable of entering creative mode. However, before his arrival, there was a dark entity that clearly alludes to Herobrine. In fact, the video's title reinforces this idea, as early on, Herobrine was also known simply as him. After this introduction, the story begins by putting us in the shoes of a blacksmith villager who, after finishing his daily routine, heads home to rest. But just before opening his door, he notices something that immediately unsettles him. A body lying on the ground, stained with blood, right in the middle of the village. Concerned, he tries to communicate with the figure, asking if they're all right. But before he can get a response, the body suddenly begins to levitate in a disturbing, erratic manner and moves toward him. Even in a fantasy world like Minecraft, this entire situation is completely abnormal. Terror takes hold of our protagonist, and he starts running as fast as he can toward the priest's church. Once there, he explains what he saw: a woman with a strange mark on her face. However, when the priest looks outside, there's nothing there, just an empty village. The blacksmith can't believe it. It was right there, so much so that he takes another look outside, only to witness a terrifying scene. The levitating body is now back on the ground, but suddenly it's dragged away by an invisible force. The priest mentions that a cartographer's apprentice once had a similar mark on her face, but she disappeared over 5 years ago. Even so, he tries to calm the situation, suggesting that it was probably just a wolf hunting, a common thing in the area, and emphasizing that the night is far too dark and he hasn't seen anything at all outside his house. Not finding the help he hoped for, the blacksmith has no choice but to return outside. He tries to find a rational explanation for everything that's happened. Maybe it was all just a bad dream. But when he spots a blood-stained tooth lying on the ground, it confirms that everything he saw was very real. The next morning, determined to find answers and guided by what the priest told him, the blacksmith visits the cartographer's house and recounts everything that happened the night before. The cartographer immediately associates the description of the body with his former apprentice, Masha, a girl who had a birthmark over her left eye, and who, as we already know, died 5 years ago. Intrigued, the blacksmith asks how she died. The answer he receives is perhaps not what he expected. Masha had ventured into an unexplored part of the forest and never returned. The cartographer admits he never understood why she was so insistent on going to that particular area when they still had other maps to complete. However, he reveals that before her disappearance, Masha had become obsessed with the idea that something inhabited those woods. She was convinced that an ancient primordial force lay dormant within them. The cartographer also mentions an intriguing detail. At the edge of the village, there's a pile of cobblestones next to the water, supposedly meant for a construction project. But years have passed, and no one has touched them. In fact, no one even remembers how they got there. Something here definitely doesn't add up. Before parting ways, the cartographer gives the blacksmith Masha's journal, suggesting he take a look at it since he was never able to understand its contents. Upon receiving the journal, something immediately catches his attention. On the cover, there's a note with just 2 words written, him and Herobrine. If there was ever a time for the phrase curiosity killed the cat, this would be it, right? When night falls, the blacksmith examines the notebook. Inside, he finds sketches of maps and local trails, but what really catches his eye is a chilling passage that clearly describes the very entity Masha encountered, and right next to it, a drawing of the infamous altar thought to be used for summoning Herobrine in Minecraft. The text reads, "He is the shadows, the walls, the air itself. He is everywhere like sickness, and there is no cure but to wake up. He leaves a mark." This suggests that Herobrine may possess a certain degree of omnipresence in this universe, or at least when he's been summoned and set free. As for that second to last line, well, we'll understand its meaning soon enough. On the last page, the blacksmith finds a drawing of the being in question, a black, human-shaped silhouette with stark, glowing white eyes. As he stares at the image, a noise suddenly breaks the silence. Something has been watching and following him since that night. Summoning his courage and taking his sword in hand, he decides to investigate, completely unaware of what awaits him.
Cartographer! Let me in! Let me in!
Huh?
It's here!
What, friend? What? Tell me.
Him. The man in Masha's book. Herobrine. He's in the goddamn village. Whatever she saw, whatever drove her mad, saying he lives inside you, she brought it to this godforsaken village, and he's getting inside my head. Are you not familiar with this yourself?
Yes, I am. I see things moving in the corner of my eye, but the holy charms blessed by our holiness keep all evil at bay, his protection, and some blissful ignorance, and perhaps a grieving old man.
No, this goes beyond age, grief, and the wretched blindness of our holiness. I'm going to see for myself. Stay indoors, away from the windows. Don't go outside.
Wait, where are you going?
Determined to find answers once and for all, the blacksmith decides to start his investigation at the mysterious pile of cobblestones, the very ones supposedly meant for future construction. Their strange and unexplained presence makes them the perfect place to start. But just as he's about to touch them, the priest suddenly appears. Suspicious timing, wouldn't you say? The blacksmith insists that he can't ignore what he saw that night. Still, the priest once again tries to convince him that his mind was just playing tricks on him, suggesting that what he saw was likely a visitor from the ether, a heavenly, ethereal realm filled with unique creatures and resources, the direct counterpart of the nether. Despite the priest's words, the blacksmith refuses to back down. He knows what he saw. And though the priest keeps dismissing his claims, urging him to clear his mind and rest, something doesn't feel right. As the priest turns to leave, the blacksmith notices something. A strange symbol on the back of his robe. The very same symbol he saw in Masha's notebook. It seems that Herobrine has already left his mark on the priest, confirming his direct involvement in everything that's happening. The next day, armed and determined, the blacksmith confronts the priest. He demands to know who is placing the cobblestones in the village, convinced that the priest is hiding something. This time, he refuses to leave without the truth. But the priest tries to paint him as a madman. Consumed by rage, the blacksmith storms out and heads straight for the cobblestones. In a fury, he begins to tear them apart. The priest tries to stop him but receives a brutal blow to the face, knocking him to the ground. With the cobblestones removed, his hidden secret is finally revealed: the altar to summon Herobrine. Yet it remains dormant, which explains why his spectral form, used to invade the minds of his victims, has yet to cross into the physical realm. Analyzing all this, it becomes evident that the priest was merely trying to protect the village, likely concealing the altar with cobblestones to prevent anyone under Herobrine's influence from completing the ritual. But it's too late. Herobrine's presence has grown beyond control. There is no turning back. He is already here, in the walls, in the earth, inside the villagers, everywhere. In that instant, the priest lunges at the blacksmith, hands tightening around his throat. He raves about freeing him from the curse, and suddenly, the earlier words take on a chilling meaning. Liberation, awakening. It was never salvation. It was death. Desperate, the blacksmith grasps a nearby stone and, with all his strength, strikes the priest. The man, now completely unhinged, has become too dangerous to ignore. With no other choice, the blacksmith takes his life. But fate is cruel. The priest's corrupted blood seeps into the altar, activating it, tearing open the gateway for Herobrine to enter the physical world. Slowly, a dark figure rises from the flames, its form towering and menacing. Its appearance, it's a clear reference to the fan art of White Eyes. All hope seems lost. Yet Herobrine doesn't immediately attack the blacksmith. Instead, it becomes clear that he wants to save him for last, perhaps to see him suffer, or perhaps for something far worse. The village descends into chaos. The creature moves through the streets unstoppable, claiming the lives of several villagers. There is no escape. Desperate, the blacksmith runs to arm himself, grabbing his best sword and enchanting it with a spellbook. There's no choice left but to fight.
Right here, you goddamn coward, right here.
No!
The blacksmith is ready to deliver the final blow. But just as he's about to strike, he notices the mark on the creature's left eye. It's then that the horrifying truth becomes clear. The being standing before him is none other than Masha, the cartographer's apprentice who vanished 5 years ago. Her body has likely been corrupted and used as a vessel for Herobrine to manifest in the physical world. Despite the heartbreak, the blacksmith knows there's no other way. With a heavy heart, he drives the sword into the creature's head, ending the abomination once and for all. But victory is far from theirs. They were all doomed from the very beginning. The blacksmith isn't the hero of this story, just another victim. And perhaps now his own body will serve as the next vessel. There is no salvation. Herobrine has been set free, a manifestation of darkness and chaos, a parasitic force that infiltrates the minds and bodies of anyone who crosses its path. And with that, the story comes to an end. Well, that's all for today. Don't forget to support this video as much as possible and share it with as many people as you can. And of course, leave your thoughts in the comments. I love reading them. Also, make sure to follow me on my other social media platforms where I post exclusive short-form content you won't see here on YouTube. And most importantly, a huge shout out to all the channel members. Seriously, thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to become a member, just click the join button next to the subscribe button to unlock tons of perks and exclusive emojis while supporting me. If you're interested, join in. I'll be eternally grateful. And remember, this video was made by a cat, and cats can't talk. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.